In today's video, we are going to be breaking down Brandon Ingram and what he is doing to be able to help the Toronto Raptors win games. He's doing extremely well right now, so let's get down. Let's check out what he is able to do on the court so that he can get more wins and so that you can also get more wins as well if you can emulate what he does on the court. Okay, so this play is actually ran quite often in the Toronto Raptors playbook. So first of all, we have Brandon Ingram on this side of the court. His man is overplaying the gap. They're really trying to cut off middle. They really do not want that ball to be drove to the rim. Pirtle sets that screen, and then when that happens, when Pirtle sets that outside screen rolling towards the basket, instead of having the help side defender tag up on the roll man and let Brandon Ingram's man then tail down and guard off two guys, they don't do this, or at least the Cleveland Cavaliers don't do this, and many other NBA teams don't either. So I'm pretty sure that this is an actual strategy that the Raptors use because they do this skip pass across to Brandon Ingram quite often, and he's able to get some open three-point shots off of that same exact screen and play. So this is more of a diamond offense. A lot of coaches will run a play like, or a similar play like this, or at least this type of offense. And generally what you'll have is it would be set up in a perfect diamond. This is not a perfect diamond, but these guys are adults and they're going to cheat. So basically in this play, what you'll have is essentially a pin down screen on your scorer from your center. And when that happens, he's going to then curl around or he's going to pop out for the three, depending on how and what his defender is doing. However, in this clip, what we have is obviously this side of guy is going to be clearing out. We still have this pin down screen. The defender in this case is chasing over top and trying to guard Brandon Ingram so that he doesn't have the open shot. If he guards too tight, Brandon Ingram's going to cut towards the middle. If this guy tries to shoot the gap and basically split between the screener and his teammate, then Brandon Ingram would pop out for the three and have an open three. So this is actually kind of a deadly play. In this case, the defender fights over top. Brandon Ingram receives that ball. Now the Toronto center, this is not Pirtle, this is somebody else, who I apparently am not following enough of the Raptors to know who that is. Instead of him rolling towards the basket, because now they're double teaming Brandon Ingram as soon as he gets that ball. This guy is wide open. He should have cut towards that rim, and that would have been an easy pass. Obviously, this would have been an assist, not a basket for Brandon Ingram, but this would have been a wide open dunk for his teammate. However, what he does is after he catches that ball, he takes one dribble, takes a quick sidestep out to create the gap between himself and his defender, and now he is able to pull up for that mid-range shot. His man is, or at least the guy who screened for him, is stuck out in the corner. This guy's not clearly thinking he should be cutting towards the rim. At least he'd be there for the rebound if there was a rebound, or he would have been wide open for the layup. But either way, Brandon Ingram was able to hit this mid-range shot because of the sidestep and the space that he was able to get from it. This is just old school bully ball. So right here, he takes one dribble towards the basket. He gets a little bit of a forearm into the chest of that defender. Some refs might call it, but you generally do this until the referees start calling it. And then he's able to get to the rim with all of that contact. So what I'm trying to show here, though, is not necessarily that illegal contact, technically speaking, with his forearm right there. What he could be doing is how he initially started this move. And that was to get his shoulder into the chest of that defender to at least blow up the defender's shoulder, which then would have allowed him to have that free open lane to the basket. Anyways, he didn't necessarily need to extend that arm. So don't extend the arm, but do the same exact move if you want to be able to get to that rim. Now this is almost a Kobe style move. He does a quick low rip, catches on two, attacks with 2 feet, gets his back to the basket on 2 feet, and then he's able to, of course, work off of that. Very similar to a Kobe or MJ style move, and every player needs to be able to learn a move like this as well. So as soon as he catches on two right there. That means that he could use either foot as a pivot foot. However, here he is attacking towards that right side, doing a low rip with the ball going close to, if not under his knees, so that he can make that rip, get past his man, and then he takes one dribble right there. Second dribble, he turns his back to his man, looking over his shoulder for potential off-ball cutters, but also to move his defender off of him, away from him. And then because he was able to land on both of his feet at the same time, he hasn't picked a pivot foot, which means that whichever foot he lifts, the opposite foot is going to be the pivot. So in this case, after he fakes towards his right, he pivots towards his left using his right foot, which means that his left foot is his pivot. As soon as this foot leaves the ground, it cannot return unless he takes a dribble or a shot or a pass. However, in this case, because he was able to pivot away from his defender because he almost faked with that look towards the middle, that separated his defender from him just a bit by about maybe 1 to 2 feet, which then gives him enough space to be able to get that shot off over top of him. Anytime that you can make contact with a defender, if you're the offensive player, what we see right here is exactly what you need to do. So as the offensive player, if he makes contact first with the defender, he wins, defender loses. However, if the defender makes contact first with the offensive player, the defender wins and the offensive player loses. So by knowing this and understanding this concept, Brandon Ingram is able to attack that 15-foot area to the elbow. He is able to make that contact right there. I'll rewind it just a half a second so you can see it in real time. Right there. That is what is allowing him to create that gap between himself and his defender. Plus, at this point, his defender's hands are down, so this is an absolutely wide open shot. If you want to become a better shooting guard, make sure you get the shooting guard blueprint that is down in the description below. That's going to give you workouts so that you can become stronger. It's also going to give you skills training so that you can become better, but it's got a lot of basketball IQ things that you can read so that you can make the correct read on the basketball court and be a super smart player. So make sure to go check out the shooting guard blueprint that is down in the description below. Hit that like button and subscribe.